Welcome back to C-IKNOW, the social network analysis software brought to you by the Sonic Laboratory at Northwestern University. This video will demonstrate how you can use the search and zoom functions to better understand and compare nodes and their connections by easily manipulating C-IKNOW's network maps with some of the built-in buttons and mouse moves. To get started, head to the C-IKNOW portal and log into the project. This project is called OCMC 2009. I'm the admin, so I'm going to log in using my previously established password. I'm going to create a network that shows a visualization of which users knew each other at the OCMC conference. If you don't know how to do this, you should refer back to the video titled Visualization to learn the basics of how to set up a visual map. Here I am at the default view for my visualization. Notice how all the nodes are arranged in a circle, but there are so many nodes that it is difficult to make sense of the data. We can use the search and zoom tools to view certain portions of this dense map more easily. Let's start by walking through the tools you'll need to use. The 6 zoom tools can be found right here on the toolbar. You can also access them in the View menu up here. This menu is handy if you want to learn the keyboard shortcuts for the various tools, as they are listed right next to the name of each tool. The first tool I'd like to look at is the Zoom In on Graph tool. This tool makes the graph larger by zooming into the location you click. Watch as I zoom in on a portion of the graph by clicking the location multiple times. Notice how it's showing me a smaller portion of the graph, and the nodes and edges are getting larger. This tool is useful if you want to quickly focus on a certain part of the graph without clearly seeing each individual edge. I can also reverse this process by using the Zoom Out on Graph tool, which is located directly to the right of the Zoom In tool. This tool takes you farther away from the graph to get a broader perspective, making all nodes and edges smaller. These tools weren't very useful for this dense graph because there are so many edges, which kept getting larger as I zoomed in. A better tool for this graph would be the Zoom In on Edges tool. This tool works similarly to the previous tool, but all the nodes and edges will remain the same size when you zoom in. Watch as I zoom in with this tool, and notice how I can easily distinguish all the different edges. Just like before, I can reverse this process with the Zoom Out on Edges tool, which is located directly to the right of the tool I'm using. This tool takes you further away from the graph to get a broader perspective without making the nodes and edges smaller. Another useful tool is the Move Graph tool. This allows you to see a different portion of the graph by dragging the graph around the screen while maintaining the same zoom level. It's useful if you've zoomed into the wrong area or want to see something that isn't visible in the viewport. Another tool I want to look at is the Zoom to Selection tool. This tool is useful if you know exactly which area of the graph to focus on and gets you there instantly with only a couple clicks. To use it, click the tool in the toolbar and drag a box around the area you want to see more closely. The final zoom feature I'd like to look at lets you reset your view. It isn't in the toolbar, but you can find it in the menus by clicking Display Options, then Fit Graph to Screen. This option lets you see every node in your graph at once, just like when you started the visualization. Now let's take a look at the Search tool, which is located at the bottom of the window. To search for a node, simply type the name of the node into this box. You can type the full name of a node, or just a few letters. Either way, the nodes that match your query will be outlined in red as you type. If I want to search for Noshir, all I do is type the first few letters of his name, and his node will have a red outline, allowing me to easily find it in the graph. Let's take a look at a practical example that uses a few different search and zoom tools. I know Nashir and Meikwan attended this conference, and I want to see who was more connected. To start, I'll type Nashir's name in the search box. As I begin typing, the nodes that match my query start showing up with red outlines. I'll continue typing his name until Nashir is the only node with an outline. There he is. Now I can drag Nashir up and away from the graph. It's okay that we can't see this node anymore, because we can manipulate the graph later with the zoom tools. Now let's do the same for Meikwan by searching for her and dragging her away from the graph. Since I can't see either of them anymore, I'll use the Move Graph tool to drag my graph downwards so I can see both of these nodes. Now I want to zoom in to Nashir and Meikwan. One option I have is to use the Zoom In on Edges tool to get closer to them. This tool is more suitable than the Zoom In on Graph tool because it keeps the edges the same size. Since there are so many edges, we don't want them getting any bigger. While this tool does the job fine, it takes a few more clicks than is necessary. Since I know exactly which area I want to see, I can simply use the Zoom to Selection tool to drag a box around Nashir and Mequon, which zooms in on them. Then I can use the other various zoom tools to manipulate the graph until I have a clear visualization of this data. This looks good. With this current view, we can easily see a visual comparison of Nashir's and Mequon's connections at the conference by comparing the density of the edges. It's easy to see that Nashir was much more connected at this conference than Mequon. There are other things we can do as well with this data. Let's say we want to quickly see which people Nashir was not directly connected to at this conference. I'll right-click his name and then click Direct Connection. This will select or highlight everyone Nashir knows and everyone who knows Nashir. We can't see any of these nodes, so I'll click Fit Graph to Screen to show everybody. Next, I'll click Hide Selection in the toolbar. Notice how everyone Nashir was directly connected to has disappeared, and we are now looking at the people who didn't have a direct connection with Nashir. This is a case where I may want to use the Zoom In on Graph tool because there are fewer nodes. Notice how the nodes get larger as I zoom in, so I can read the names much more easily. In the context of the current example, which is about who people knew before the conference, one suggestion based on this visualization I may give to Nashir is that here are the people you have not met, but you may want to start a conversation with them now that you're all at the conference. With this visualization, you can easily see who you can ask to help make the introduction. Using the search and zoom tools in C-IKNOW, it's easy to focus on a visualization in a way that makes the data meaningful for you. For more tutorial videos, check out the C-IKNOW website, and thanks for watching.